Welcome, everyone. Today, we journey through the history of a land that has witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the birth of alphabets, and the dawn of civilization itself. This is the story of Syria, a country whose past is as rich and complex as any on Earth, a story stretching back more than 10,000 years. Our tale begins near the banks of the Euphrates River, where some of the first human settlements emerged around 10,000 BC. Fast forward to 3000 BC, and you'll find magnificent cities like Ebla, Mari, and Ugarit flourishing. These weren't just settlements, they were bustling hubs of trade and innovation. Ebla, one of the world's earliest kingdoms, left behind thousands of clay tablets, revealing a sophisticated society with trade links stretching from Mesopotamia to Egypt. And on the coast, the city of Ugarit gave humanity a monumental gift, one of the very first alphabets, forever changing how we communicate. By the first millennium BC, Syria's strategic location made it a prize for conquerors. The Hittites, Egyptians, Assyrians, and Babylonians all vied for control of this fertile land. In the 6th century BC, Cyrus the Great brought Syria into the vast Persian Empire, where it remained for 2 centuries. But a new power was rising in the west. In 333 BC, Alexander the Great marched across Asia, and Syria fell under Greek influence. After his death, his general Seleucus founded the Seleucid Empire, and the city of Antioch was born. It quickly became a beacon of Hellenistic culture, a place where Greek philosophy and art mingled with ancient local traditions, creating something entirely new and vibrant. The Roman legions arrived in 64 BC. Led by Pompey the Great, Syria became a vital province of the Roman Empire, a crucial link on the trade routes connecting the Mediterranean to the east. Cities like Damascus and Antioch boomed, but perhaps the most legendary was Palmyra, the desert jewel ruled by the ambitious Queen Zenobia. In the 3rd century AD, she dared to challenge Rome, carving out her own short-lived empire. This era also saw the spread of a new faith. Christianity took deep root here, and Antioch became one of its most important early centers, a place where followers of Christ were first called Christians. In the 7th century, a new force emerged from the Arabian Peninsula, transforming the region forever. The Islamic conquests swept through Syria, and Damascus was chosen as the capital of the Umayyad Caliphate, the first great Islamic dynasty. From Damascus, the Umayyads ruled an empire that stretched from Spain to India. They left behind an architectural masterpiece, the Great Mosque of Damascus, a symbol of faith and power that still stands today. Even after the capital moved to Baghdad under the Abbasids, Syria remained a culturally and economically vital part of the Islamic world. Centuries later, Syria found itself at the heart of another global conflict, the Crusades. From the 11th to the 13th centuries, Christian armies from Europe and Muslim forces battled for control of this holy land. It was during this time that the legendary leader Saladin rose to prominence, uniting Muslim forces and reclaiming Jerusalem. Following the Crusades, the Mamluks of Egypt took control, successfully defending the region from the devastating Mongol invasions and ruling for over 2 centuries. Then, in 1516, a new empire arrived. The Ottoman Turks conquered Syria, beginning a period of 400 years of rule. Under the Ottomans, cities like Damascus and Aleppo thrived once again as major centers of trade within the empire. Life was relatively stable, but as the centuries passed and the Ottoman Empire began to weaken, a new idea took hold: nationalism. Syrians began to dream of independence and a future of their own. That dream seemed within reach after World War I. With the collapse of the Ottoman Empire, Syria declared its independence under King Faisal I in 1920. But it was a fleeting moment. The colonial powers, Britain and France, had already secretly decided the region's fate. French forces invaded, establishing the French Mandate of Syria. For the next 2 decades, Syrians refused to accept foreign rule. launching revolts and political movements to demand their sovereignty. Finally, after the turmoil of World War II, their struggle paid off. In 1946, Syria gained its full independence and became the Syrian Arab Republic. But independence did not bring peace. The new nation was plagued by instability, marked by a series of military coups and intense political rivalries. The regional landscape was also tense, particularly with the creation of Israel. In 1963, a pivotal event occurred. The Ba'ath Party seized power, championing a vision of Arab unity and socialism under a strong centralized state. In 1970, an Air Force officer named Hafez al-Assad took control in a move that would define Syria for decades. He established an authoritarian regime, aligning Syria with the Soviet Union during the Cold War and building a powerful military. A defining national trauma from this era was the loss of the Golan Heights to Israel in the 1967 Six-Day War, a territorial dispute that remains unresolved. When Hafez al-Assad passed away in 2000, his son, Bashar al-Assad, inherited the presidency. He initially promised reform and modernization, sparking hope for a Damascus spring. However, these hopes faded as his government tightened its grip on power. Then, in 2011, inspired by the Arab Spring uprisings across the region, peaceful protests for democracy and freedom erupted in cities across Syria. The government's brutal crackdown on these protests plunged the country into a devastating civil war. The conflict quickly escalated into a complex international crisis. Global and regional powers, including Russia, the United States, Iran, and Turkey, intervened, backing different sides. The horrific rise of the terrorist group ISIS added another layer of extreme violence, turning Syria into the 21st century's most tragic humanitarian disaster. Ancient cities like Aleppo and Palmyra, which had stood for millennia, were reduced to rubble. Millions were forced to flee their homes, becoming refugees, and an untold number of lives were lost. By the late 2010s, with powerful military support from Russia and Iran, Bashar al-Assad's government managed to regain control over most of the country. But the war left Syria fractured and deeply scarred. The economy is in ruins, millions of its people are still displaced, and the path to reconstruction and reconciliation remains long and uncertain. Today, Syria stands at a somber crossroads. It is a nation of profound history and immeasurable tragedy. From its ancient cities that gifted the world writing and knowledge, to its modern struggle for survival and peace, Syria's story is a powerful reflection of human greatness and suffering. The legacy of this incredible civilization, the cradle of alphabets, religions, and empires, lives on in its people, whether they remain in their homeland or are scattered across the globe. Though scarred by war, the resilient spirit of Syria endures. Syria's story is not over. It is still being written, day by day, in the hearts of all those who dream of rebuilding their land and restoring its place as a beacon of civilization. Thank you for joining us on this journey. If you found this history compelling, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more stories from our shared human past.